All right, welcome to the Clippers to Cannabis podcast, episode 3. We are delighted to be joined by our friend Max from the Highland Group. Welcome, Max. How are you, mate?
Good. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, you're more than welcome, mate. So let's get into it, Max. Thanks for joining us. Can you tell our viewers a little bit about yourself and your journey in the Thai cannabis industry?
My name is Max. Well, people call me Max, but my full name is Highland Avery. I'm the co-founder of Highland, which is the advocate group in Thailand here. We've been operating for the past 9 years. Next year will be our 10th. And we've been involved anywhere from just hosting a conference that discuss about cannabis legality and health benefit, to concert, to events, and being part of the advisory group for the government on adjusting and removing cannabis from the narcotic list, adjusting the law and removing cannabis from the narcotic list.
Sure. Can you take us back to 9 years ago?
Yeah.
And even before then?
Sure.
You know, what led up to you, this beginning that journey?
Sure. So initially, I partake in cannabis, but not much of a pothead or like a grower of any sort. But initially, I was offshore, preparing myself. I finally decided to go back to school, and I wanted to do electrical engineering. So I prepared myself with electrical engineering books and knowledge and whatnot, all the way to quantum physics. Like, I was preparing myself to go all the way.
Wow.
But then when I got back to Thailand, taking a little break before I head back to Canada for education, I got hit with this bad headache with like fever hitting in, and to the point that I had to park the car and take a little nap. And when I got up, I was looking for a pharmacy, which luckily it was just opposite of the road. So got off the car, went and talked to the guy, the pharmacist. I thought I was going to get an Tylenol of some sort, but then the pharmacist handed me this Thai herb. It's called Fatalaijon. I don't think there's a name in English. And he was like, take 4 of these, take a nap, and we'll go from there. I'm like, sure. So took that, drove home, did as he said, and when I woke up, I felt like new, fresh, no headache, no fever anymore. I was like, how can herb be this good, be this effective?
Mm-hmm.
So that's when I decided to switch from electrical engineering to studying medicine and botany. So
Okay.
That's when I went back to Canada, and instead of registering for all of the electrical engineering courses, switched to biology and chemistry instead, and went down that road. And I was on my 3rd year, and then I had this health problem, so I decided to take a break and came back to Thailand. And at that time, I was playing Facebook and saw this page called Ganchashwan. Ganchashwan is basically people of cannabis, right? It was a small Facebook page. At that time, there was about 3,800 followers.
Mm-hmm.
And the founder of the page is Radhapon Sanlap, which is the founder of Highland.
Okay.
And we started exchanging information after he posted a post about endocannabinoid system, which is the system in our body that the cannabis compound reacts to.
Yeah.
And that's how I got into the group. And technically there were like 2 of us at that time. And then he decided to start a magazine about cannabis. And that's when I had to do a deep dive research on cannabis and human body. And I had to go through about like 300 or 400 researches to cover all of the health benefit of cannabis. Goes anywhere, basically covers all of the ailments that there's a research covering it with cannabis, and that's really the key point that
that was a turning point, right?
That was the turning point, because when we published that magazine, that's when it started a small ripple through the community that has any interest of cannabis. And that goes from anywhere from regular farmers, laymen, to physicians, to politicians. And we're starting to get to know these physicians in the parliament, in the ministry, and there were a few conferences that they would have a small section about cannabis, and we were invited to attend, but we would raise a question when that section ends, so that it would provoke the audience, which were politicians and physicians, all of them, to think more about cannabis and its potential benefit to the people in general. And that's really when we started to talk to more people, get in touch with a lot more people of power, or people that has influence in the Thai government more. And at the same time, we would host Highland event every year. The first year, I believe it was 2014, if I'm not mistaken, or 15, not quite sure. 15, I believe it's 15.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the first event. The first event was actually a small conference meeting kind of thing, where we invite one physician, one lawmaker, and one law enforcer to discuss about cannabis. But after that, the following year, we just turned it into a full-on event where there were venues on food trucks, apparels, accessories, concert music and whatnot, even discussion panel on stage here and there. And that's basically the model that we kind of carried on from then.
Yeah.
And it has been working well.
Can we rewind a little bit?
Sure.
Back to the pill.
Sure.
And the medicine that you took. Can you talk a bit about what that was made up of, and really, specifically what it did and how it made you feel, how it helped?
Right. Fatalajon is basically this Thai shrub herb that grows locally in this region, and what it does, it reduces the fever, and there are some small benefit where like it helps kill germs here and there. There have been a few research paper published about this plant, but it's not well known internationally yet. But it's basically a Tylenol for Thais in Thailand.
So it's native to Thailand.
Yeah.
Where this cannabis came from.
Yeah.
And back then, Max, was there a lot of stigma around the plant?
No, absolutely not.
Was it accepted culturally, and what were the legalities?
It's just it would the only regulation that comes within the plant is that it gets regulated under the Ministry of Thai Traditional Medicine,
mm-hmm.
and it will get regulated only if you package it. So if you grow it in the backyard and you decide to brew the tea out of the plant, which you can use anywhere from the leaves, the roots, the stem, and that's how the Thais, the local Thais, in the village, they would use it and brew it and treat their fever most of the time. Even to the point during COVID, if some of the population decide not to take pharmaceutical medicine,
Yeah.
the Ministry of Public Health would suggest this herb instead. That's how good it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how long have the Thai people been using that specific medicine?
Pre-recorded history, I'm sure.
Okay.
Because the very early, I should say, recorded history on Thai traditional medicine practice. The oldest physical record that we still have was about like 400 years old, and they already use this regularly then.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure that's pre-recorded history long ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the, you were in pain, right, with headache and you weren't well and fever. How was the feeling, after you took this medicine?
I actually felt better than when before all of the fever and the headache and nausea kicked in.
Yeah.
Felt like new. Really.
Was it fast acting?
I won't say fast acting. I can't tell because like by the time I arrived home, took the pill, and basically passed out.
Yeah.
But I woke up like a couple hours later. Felt like new.
So was that really, like we said, the turning point where you thought, well, there's something in this?
That was a turning point where I have more curiosity and a lot more respect for herbs as a medicine. Like I've been smoking weed since I was in my teens, right?
Okay.
So like I know what weed is.
Yeah.
But and when I was in college before I head offshore, I kind of understand and know that cannabis can be used as a health benefit kind of medicine kind of thing, but I didn't really pay attention to it. And then, but because of this Thai herb, it makes me think: what if cannabis has more potential than what is being used in Thailand? But the trigger point where I really dive into the cannabis movement and trying to make it legal here in Thailand was when I was after I was studying pre-med in Canada, and I took a break to come back here, and I realized, why is it illegal here? When in Canada we started practicing prescribing cannabis to some special cases of patients. And it's still illegal there back then, but they started prescribing already. But in Thailand, back when I came here, no, like it was illegal. It was jailed and fined kind of punishment. And yet, everybody back in Canada said that Thai weed is the best weed, according to the old timer uncles and grandfather back then.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why is that? So that's when I really got involved and kind of like drove me into trying to make cannabis legalized in Thailand.
Mm-hmm.
Since it's native here.
Yeah.
A lot of people say it's great here. Then why is it illegal here?
Yeah. Well, I mean, we met about 3 years ago now, right? And it was very obvious to me from when we first met that you're one of the guys who really believes in the medical benefits. A lot of people talk and they talk and push the medical side, because they're just recreational and money basically. But I was very impressed with that and respected you from then. What you were doing, and I think it's I think a lot of people have got you and your organisation to thank for where we are now in the cannabis space, and it's it's rare to have such genuine reasons for it. Everybody knows a lot of people here for a cash grab, and what you guys started back then for the right reasons is the way it should be done, I believe. And just well done for that, mate. Amazing, you and your whole group. Let's move on to the next one, and we'll go a bit more into that as well.
Sure.
Because you've had a crazy journey, right? You've had some journey. Okay, Max, mate. You were involved in the movement of legalisation in cannabis in Thailand. Can you share with us some of the challenges you faced and how you overcame them?
Egocentric behavior of the people in power. They're the ones. I mean, like I've told you, I went through literally 300 or 400 research papers, right? And I have all of these materials that's published internationally by well-known and well-respected institution. Yet these people, they're a physician. They should be the ones that they're the ones that should pay attention to and give weights and reasons to data, and yet they just like brush it off. They won't even look into it. It frustrates me so much. Like for me, like I didn't graduate in medicine because after I moved back to Thailand, I didn't go back to finish my education at all, but I still carried on reading my researches and find information to back up my point. And yet these people who practice medicine professionally, they seems to act upon their ego instinct rather than reasonable mind. And for me, it frustrates me so much, like, because I didn't graduate, and yet I found all these proofs, but you are the one in power and professional in this area. Why don't you just take a look at these information and act upon it? But of course, as I grow older into the industry, into the movement, into whatever is going on in politics as well, once getting involved with the law and whatnot, at the end it's all about profit, benefit, and just who would get something out of it, of all the changes. Sure. And that's part of the worst experience I have, but at the same time it's almost as if a challenge to me. It's like, okay, you won't take it, let's see what the public would think about this. Yeah. And that's when I changed my frustration into my drive, trying to push all of these knowledge into the public and make a public see and learn more for themselves. Sure. Because there's no point for us to just keep talking truth when the receiver don't want to try to receive anything we try to give. So we always end up in our post in a question or a thought-provoking sentence where something for them to take home and think about and do a bit more research for themselves. Yeah. And that's when our the page grew from a couple of thousands to right now 500,000 followers. Wow. Yeah. I didn't realize it was so many. I mean, I knew you guys are popular and what you've been doing is popular, but yeah, amazing. Was there a moment is there a moment in your mind where you and your team thought, this is a movement now? Can you, if there was, can you tell us about that turning point? Yeah, that turning point was we had some hunch during the first conference that we organized, but the big turning point came when we organized the first event. I didn't do much in terms of organizing the event. Most of the work done by Guy, Ratwun Sanlak, the founder. Sure. But the feedback that we got, I kid you not, at the first event we had like upwards of 100 law enforcers at the site, because they thought cannabis, it's still illegal. It's going to be a whole bunch of thugs. People fighting. Exactly, yeah. I kid you not, there came about like 80 80 law enforcer. We still have that picture on our database somewhere. But towards the end of the event, there were at least like 5 of them left, because they were just like, oh, these kids. Just,
everybody's talking and having fun and laughing. Yeah,
exactly. They're just sitting, just like stoned out, just laugh, and that's when we see that, you know, the law enforcers see the community, and the community gave us a warm welcome and warm feedback, and that's when we believe that it's going to be a big change, and it's coming. Mind you, at that time we thought that, you know what, guys, it's going to be another 10 to 15 years, but we're going to do this.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, let's do this, man. But then it took like 5 years after that. Yeah.
But you got there, Max, and I want to ask you about how you were feeling then. I mean, you know, you guys are pushing a movement, right, and trying to change the law, and that's a big task, and there must be risk involved in that. And was that? I'm trying to put myself in your shoes at the time, and you know, the small part of my mind that can just about imagine that would be petrified of the consequences. Mm-hmm. You know, of driving this movement. Mm-hmm. I mean, you know, I'd be frightened of being made example of, or whatever. You know, was there anybody kind of being picked off by the authorities from, or I mean, what did it feel like? Because it's not legal at that time.
Well, to give you some sense at that time, to say cannabis or gancha in public, we literally needed to whisper. We had to whisper. We cannot say this word in public just with ease. People would just think that we're druggy or whatnot, troublemaker of some sort. But we have a saying in the group that like we accept it with wholeheartedly, and that is we already have half of our leg in jail.
Wow.
And that's something that we accepted wholeheartedly, and that's why our group from the start, we don't do anything illegal, we don't sell, we don't grow.
Yeah.
Because we know that authority just keep their tight eyes on us.
Yeah.
I kid you not. If we sell at that time, we will be extremely rich, because we have at least like 100 people contacting us a day.
Yeah.
Asking for weed,
either
weed or seeds.
Yeah.
We could make big money back then, but of course we try to stick to our rule and just try to be true to the movement and make sure that things would work out well. Because if any of us get arrested, even though we don't have any evidence on us, it would just destroy the movement as a whole.
Sure, and that's one of my favourite things about your group. You know, you've got the substance, and it's true, integral meaning to what you've done so far, and you know what you've just said shows it. You could have made a load of money, but what was more important is the genuine cause. You know, and I think that's beautiful about Highland. You know, I really respect Highland for that. And I think everybody who's in the industry now should, because you guys really are the arrowhead, you know, for legalization, and certainly one of them, you know. So I wish I could have experienced one of your events back then. I've been lucky enough to experience 2 of your events so far, and lucky enough to speak at the last one, which I really appreciate, you know, the opportunity to do that. The first one I joined, I was very, very new to the cannabis industry then, and it blew my mind, Max. It really did. That was the one around the lake, you know, the outdoor event around the lake, and I saw the authorities then, and I was there with my wife, and you know, my wife's Thai and I'm from England, and I thought, what is going on? You know, there's rows of police and authorities, and everybody smoking, and I almost didn't want to smoke. You know, he was doing something wrong. You know, it was a very strange feeling, but beautiful and an amazing event as well. You know, one of the things that sticks in my mind from that event It was, I believe, it was your first event post legalization,
Yes.
and you had an amazing display of these wooden frames with photographs of people who've been released from jail, and
Actually arrested.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about that display, because that display was something to look at, really.
Yeah. Because it's really a slap in the face, for the user. Before the legalization, they tried to criminalize cannabis like it's a devil's weed. It's terrible. It kills people. It makes the whole community goes to hell and whatnot. It's demonized. It's so terribly, and the consequences to people that get arrested, it's just terrible. I mean, say you're the head of a family. You're a father. You look after your parents, and that's normal in Thailand, right?
Mm-hmm.
A son looks after their parents at the same time. They look after their wives and their kids at the same time. But so what? They smoke a few bongs when they get home at the end of the day, just relax themselves, and they're easygoing. They don't have violence. They don't act.
Mm-hmm.
So, but one arrest sent them to jail. First off, they gone to jail. Their income is gone.
Mm-hmm.
The family needs to struggle then, and when they come out, he has to struggle to find a job, which most of the well-paid job won't take them.
Mm-hmm.
In Thailand, it's common. So it's rather than the cannabis itself destroying the society, the law that makes weed illegal destroy the community itself.
It's doing more damage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So those photos is basically a stark reminder for everyone to attend that attended our event that now that we're free to smoke and enjoy this event, but just a tap to your shoulder that
Sure.
this was back then, and it's not too long ago as well.
And I felt that. I really felt it when I had a moment. I was smoking at the time, and I think it allowed me to appreciate it more.
Mm-hmm.
And I just had a moment looking, all these pictures, and it really is a steep mountain to climb.
Mm.
What you guys have done and been involved with it on so many levels, and it was just beautiful, mate. Have you got any pictures that people can see on any of your platforms where people can look at that display?
No, but the post for our event that year, I'm sure it's in our Facebook page. We can go back and dig it up, and that's one thing about it. Our Facebook page, Thailand 420, which is the name of the event, that main Facebook page, which had about 40,000 followers, got put down.
Wow.
I believe somebody trying to blackmail us by, posting they have some illegal substance to sell on Facebook, whether it will be weed or other things, and then somebody went in to report it, but there were so many that the page got took down, and it was all comments, like people commenting I have this to sell, it wasn't us, and next thing we know, it got took down, and all of our photos in there. So there will be a bit of work to recover all of that, but it will be done.
It's a real shame, and that happened, and it's a common thing online, isn't it, that other people take something beautiful and try and use it for their own gain. It's completely wrong, and that's what's happened there. People trying to trade on a platform which isn't really for that. It's about what you guys have done and what you continue to do. And I'm sorry to hear that, mate, but that was feel very privileged and lucky to be able to have seen it with my own eyes, and I can tell everybody it was something to look at. It really was. and a beautiful setting as well around the lake, you know, in Thailand, and everybody's around, you know, just enjoying and celebrating legalization. It was really amazing, and I think so far in my journey in the cannabis industry, that was my favourite event. And there was just something about being around that lake, and maybe it was because it was the first one after legalization. But very well set up, and just hats off to you for that, mate. It was amazing.
Thank you. I'll tell Guy that you said it was great.
Yeah, sure. Well, maybe we'll get him on for another episode.
Sounds good.
If he'd be up for it, we'd love to have him.
Sounds good.
All right, mate. Well, let's move on to question 3. The Highland dispensary is well known in the cannabis community. What inspired you to open this establishment, and what unique offerings does it provide to your customers?
The main reason that we decided to open it up was that we wanted to have a setup for our community to come in and meet as a person. I mean, we ran this community through Facebook page for the longest time, and there were great conversations, great interactions throughout the years, but we felt that it's time for people to come meet in person. And I mean, prior to the cafe, people wanted to meet all the time, and people in the community always end up like, where should we go? You know, that's safe for us, acceptable for us. We won't feel too what's the word for it?
Marginalized
or
or judged or
yes,
looked down on, or
exactly.
all those things, I think.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we were just like, you know what? Let's open a cafe. You know, have a place for the community. And when we opened, and when the words went out, sure enough, the community came together, and every day, every weekend, it's just, you know, hyping up. People just having fun, meeting each other, getting to meet each other, the like-minded, getting to meet each other for the first time, just having all the fun and getting to see each other face to face, and just like seeing the long lost brother, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they just went off, and kid you not, quite a few of them ended up starting a company together, starting a business, starting a farm together, and it's just a great place to build a relationship within the community itself, and that's the whole point.
Yeah, you really feel that as well at your place. You know, there are a lot of amazing all singing, all dancing dispensaries now that are all, you know, a lot of money has been spent on them, and they're great as well. You know, we had Baba Fats on the last episode, and you know, he's involved with places like Cloud9 and, you know, those big places on Succumbid, and they're amazing, but it's a different style. You know, your place, it's almost like going home. You know, everything's wooden, and it does have that authenticity. You know, you feel that when you're in there. There's a special atmosphere in you, and I feel when I go to your place and it's not often enough, that this has got substance. This is where it started. You know, you feel that in there. And I also like your, I believe it's number 11 on your pump, the beer.
The Thai stick.
I'm not sure what's in it, but you want to talk about that? I mean, that's certainly my favourite, and I enjoy that when I go there.
That beer that the first we met and I introduced you to is our house special.
Mm-hmm.
We work with this local brewer, and we got the cannabis to be part of the ingredient, cannabis leaves, so that, you know, it got some notes of cannabis into it, and the body of the beer is just thick enough and refreshing enough that when you drink you feel refreshed, and at the same time you get a hint of cannabis in there. And that's pretty much it, and it's called Highland Thai Stick beer.
Oh, wow. Well, I'm going to have to join you there. I went on a bit of a sober streak recently. I did 140 days completely sober. So it was good detox for the body. But during that 140 days, I actually came with my wife to your place for a meeting, if you remember. And,
Yes, we
and
did.
I didn't drink. And I was really disappointed that I couldn't try it. But next time, we'll certainly pay another visit. And I'll be drinking that beer.
I'll be sure to let you know when it's on because it's seasonal.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So when's it on?
I'm sure it's going to come back this winter. So,
yeah. Okay. Yeah, November's good. Our partners are coming over in November, so
nice.
I know you've spoken to Jim and Icon in on a Zoom call, but maybe we can bring them in November. Certainly, if you got that beer.
We'll do when in November?
Well, they're coming over for the International Hemp Expo. Have you got any involvement with that show? We won't be there, no.
I won't be. Maybe Guy might be.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
I like I told you, I kind of step away from the industry scene in general and just kind of stay with the farm.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
But Guy, he's in Bangkok, so like he gets to contact with a lot of people in the industry still.
Yeah.
So he might be heading there.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. We've certainly got to be there. It's as a distributor, we've got to be there. So,
absolutely.
And that was a great show last year, but completely different style to yours. Completely different style. Both great, but yeah, certainly that first show, Max, it was my favourite. There was just something about that, something in the air. I think straight after legalisation, and what a space to hold that event. The space with the lake and all the booze all the way around. It's beautiful, amazing. All right, Max. Well, question 4. As the organiser of the Thailand 420 trade show, what do you envision for the future of this event, and how do you see it contributing to the growth and development of the industry in Thailand?
I still strongly believe that this event mainly is to bring the community together, whether it will be simply the user, the grower, or even business person, or even people in power in the government. The event is to bring all these people that has any like mind about cannabis to come together and just observe, enjoy, and just have a good experience in cannabis events. Because at the end, we just want to have fun and makes everyone happy. Whether it will be just enjoying the food, enjoying shopping with the accessories, or looking at new product, or just concerts or new knowledge. It's just like the workshop.
Yeah. The last one that we attended, very, very impressive. Different to the other one I attended again, but on that rooftop, you had all the food outside and all the stalls inside, and the bands on the stage. It really was a cool event. And I think it's something that anybody can go to. And I would urge anybody to check out your event. When is the next one?
The next one, next year, if we're not mistaken, next year is actually on 420. And it will be on Saturday.
Wow.
Yeah, so like...
That's going to be a big event then.
Exactly, and it will be our 10th year as well, like a round decade. So yeah, we're excited for it. Let me double check, because we've been just hyping ourselves about it. I believe it's true. Yes, April 2024 420 is on Saturday. It's definitely going to be on Saturday, and it's going to be 420.
Have you got a location for that yet?
Not yet. When it comes to location, we tend to find one quite near the time of the event, because there are always things going on, whether it will be politics and just readiness of the whole situation. That's when we come up with the location.
Yeah.
And especially with the instability of the cannabis and the legality right now, it's questionable, but we still have strong hope for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you experienced any resistance for your events? I mean, in recent times, I know, you know, maybe 10 years ago there probably was, right?
Yeah.
From certain members of the public and authorities, you know, the whole Thai community as a whole. But in recent times, you know, is it still happening? Are there people?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Actually, this year was the first one that we get the most resistance, because it was during the election time, and quite a few parties, they mentioned that they would put cannabis back into the narcotic list, would make it illegal again.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, the event that we had this year, we meant to have it at the beachfront.
Okay.
But the local municipality, they thought there were too much political tension, because the local politician is pro to the party that's putting cannabis back into the narcotic list, and the local ministry there, they just said no. And the reason that we didn't promote the event for so long, and it delayed so much apart from the rain, is that we couldn't find a location that's best suited, and the owner, the authority of the location didn't have a problem with the cannabis.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, it was a bit of a struggle because of the politics, and we're back into the same starting point in terms of politics and cannabis, and we can only hope that, you know, next year nothing will happen during that time, because it's such a beautiful, spot-on day. Saturday, 4:20. We're definitely not going to miss that.
That is perfect, isn't it? Nobody can mess with that. They can't. No matter what they believe, they can't. Exactly. It's too perfect.
Yeah.
And I'm surprised to hear you say, or not hear you say, I'm surprised that so many people were there, considering what you're up against, and you couldn't, you know, do the marketing you wanted to do, and the you know. What would it have been like if you could advertise everywhere?
Exactly.
You know, because what I saw at that event, it was packed, and everybody, you know, thoroughly enjoyed it, including including me and my team.
Mm-hmm.
How many people did you get through the door?
Couple of thousands. We couldn't remember.
Yeah.
Well, I couldn't remember, but definitely a couple of thousands.
Yeah, I would say at least, not more, and especially over the 2 days.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that must have been each day, right?
I would say so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely the ones beside the lake, we had about like 7, almost 8,000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. I suppose it's difficult to answer, but, you know, do you see there being more of a chance of you being able to promote the next one?
Yeah. I mean, again, it comes down to the politics. If, you know, they don't push too much on putting cannabis back into the narcotic list, then it shouldn't be a problem.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, there are a lot of speculation, but my personal speculation is that, how should I say this? They announced that they want to put cannabis back into the narcotic list to get a reaction from the public. But at the end, what they needed to do, and it will be the most efficient way, and that is to enact a law or an act that would regulate cannabis, rather than, you know, it's out of narcotic list and it's free for all. Yes, right now the only regulation that we have is the Ministry of Public Health regulation, which is we we don't allow young adults that's under the age of 21, pregnant or breastfeeding women, or people with mental health issue. But of course, a shop or a cafe, a dispensary won't be able to regulate the last third of it. But I mean, we'll see how it goes. Hopefully, we would have a certain regulation enact where cannabis won't be able to import. Foreign cannabis won't be able to import in. That the law enforcer would be able to act upon it. Right now, importation of foreign cannabis flower is regulated by Ministry of Agriculture, but then they don't have the same power as the law enforcer, like the customs or police department, especially the police department. Once a certain law is in place where the police department can act upon it, that's when the law would be properly regulated and respected.
Sure.
Until then, we're hovering between having to fend for ourselves and hoping that the government won't just throw cannabis back into the narcotic list.
You mentioned the public reaction. How do you guys gauge the public reaction to the recent announcements?
People outside of industry, those who agree with putting cannabis back into the narcotic list, they voiced themselves quite clearly. But a majority of public, they seems to just be like whatever happens, because not everybody partake in cannabis, right? Just like not everybody smokes, not everybody drink. Cannabis is the same. But the cannabis user community itself, we voice ourselves very clear. Don't put it back. We don't agree with putting it back. And if you really say that it needs to be regulated, then enact the law that was drafted since the last government party that we had before we had the election. Because Phum Chai Thai Party actually drafted a regulation, done. But the opposition parties, they said that, they voted that they don't agree with passing the law. And the reason that they gave why they didn't agree was everything that's already in the draft of the law.
Okay.
It was all politics.
Yeah.
So if they just, have some balls and man up, accept the law, mind you, adjust something and pass it, it should be fine.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, it would eliminate all the reason that they give to the public why they want to put the cannabis back into the narcotic list. But of course, this is Thai politics. We need to sit and wait and see.
Sure.
And speculate for the meantime. See what's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, it's very interesting, Max. The whole process and the opposition and everything that's being talked about at the moment. And we've said before on this podcast that we, as an organisation, would welcome regulation because the foreign imports and all the stuff that's going on that is hurting the Thai farmers. We don't agree with, and I we really hope that the Thai government do enforce things and regulate in the right way. We certainly don't want to see it put back on the narcotics list, but there are practices that really need to stop. And maybe we can talk a bit about some of those things. It's not a very positive conversation, but I think it's important that people know what's actually going on.
It's definitely a topic that we should discuss in open so that people would understand. Absolutely.
Yeah. So we did a trip recently to Chiang Rai and Chiang Mai with my friend Jordan Herring, Hidden Valley, and you could see some of the effects there, directly with the Thai farmers, and they weren't good, and these illegal imports they are damaging, and the people that are involved and the people that come with it. We want to see that stop, absolutely, and see the industry support the Thai growers and the Thai farmers and support the country itself. What are your thoughts on some of these malpractices?
Well, first off, it's terrible, and like you said, it ruins the Thai farmers. When the legalization, all the way from the beginning, where they legalized for medical uses, we were happy to see the Thai farmers starting to learn or relearn how to grow cannabis again, which is the native plants. And for them to learn anything new, it's just, for me, it's heartwarming. It's the joy that they see when they understand something, right? And they can grow something that's fruitful and beautiful and just a great product.
Sure.
And that's great. But with that, it comes the price that they need to relearn everything, to restart everything for this specific plant. And with that price in Thai cannabis industry is still very high because we restarted the whole thing. But when we compare to, let's say, United States, prominent cannabis producer, their price gets so low that I'm sure growers in their industry don't agree with that as well. And when that what's the word I should say? Some of that production gets affected in Thailand. The people who gets hurt the most are the farmers. And in politics, the Thai government pushed for the farmers to start growing cannabis and send to the government to produce a medicine distributed through the Ministry of Public Health for the patients and whatnot. It's a great idea, but it doesn't regulate the market price. It doesn't do well, and it's unfortunate that for everything, the politics, the government, the governing, the people who uses, everybody gets all of the benefit out of cannabis except the producer themselves. And they're the ones that work the hardest. I'm pretty sure most of them have herniated disc in their back and have back pain and have to go through the hospital getting surgery and whatnot. Literally back breaking. And yet they're the ones that get left behind the most. And these importation that breaks the market price are the ones that break them the most, hurt them the most.
Sure.
It's painful to see. And we don't need to wait for any of this to go any further. A lot of farms are closing right now. A lot of these farms are closing right now because the price are just so terrible that it's not worth the work, the labor, for them to go through all of that to produce cannabis for the industry.
Sure.
At least for the medical side. The recreational side, they don't have the skill for it yet. Still far for them. But, instead of getting to see them to improve their skill to the point that they can produce something that's interesting or new to the recreational market, they had to close themselves down and have no chance to improve themselves to experience something new. And that's just unfortunate.
Hey, people need to stop doing it. Simple stop doing it.
Stop it.
You know, oh mate, it's heartbreaking though, Max.
It is.
It really is. It's heartbreaking. You know, and I know, you know, everybody needs to eat and everybody needs money, but fuck, do it the right way.
Do it the right way.
You know,
exactly.
there's no reason why, you know, people can't come here and help, and help improve, you know, the standard of the Thai industry. Not that there's anything wrong with it, in my opinion, but you know, some of the farmers who do need help, you know, people can come and help them,
exactly.
and get involved in the right way, not crush them, you know, because that's what's happening, and we really want to see that stop. If you were the sole person who was making the decisions on legislation around Thai cannabis, how do you see it, and what decisions would you make? How what do you think the best way for it all to work is?
The best, well, first of all, we do need to enforce the importation of cannabis flower of all sorts. Because right now, one of the way, apart from the illegal importation, one of the way to import illegal flower into the recreational market is to import it as a animal product. I mean, as for animals' feet.
Okay.
Kid you not. And that's the loophole that they used, and it ruins the market, it ruins the industry. And the next step is to hold on the market price. If the producer, the farmers, can produce the quality of the flower to a certain standard.
Sure.
Let's say like no pesticide, no residual pesticide, no heavy metal, no fungus in there. You know, it's just a certain consumer oriented standard.
Yeah.
And that itself can hold on the market price quite well already. And you know, we'll go from there. People who learn and evolve, develop themselves, they will do just fine. And those who just want to produce and just sell it off, you know, they will go do something else. And that's fine. And that's how a market works.
Yeah.
But you know, it's just a matter of enforcing the regulation.
Yeah.
We do need to enforce the regulation quite rigorously rather than, you know, just let it be.
Sure. Yeah, I like the idea of that, and I'm kind of thinking, you know, a set of SOPs across the board that supports the standard. You know, you follow this set of SOPs to meet the minimum standard, and my God, there's so many people who could get involved in that.
Yeah.
You know, to help really and help the whole genuine Thai industry.
Yeah.
You know, grow and thrive, and. I think if something like that was implemented, you know, Thailand could be a real powerhouse in the cannabis world,
Thailand
you know, globally.
Thailand can be. I mean, there are. This is heartwarming at the same time and funny at the same time. So there are so many local knowledge on how to grow and maintain cannabis that. It's not in any of the foreign literature at all. And some of these local growers that they got these knowledge from their ancestor passed down to them, and they grow cannabis, and it's beautiful. You know, it's tasteful, it's beautiful, it smells great, and it might not falls under, you know, industrial standard, but it's great, and it doesn't leave any trace of harmful substances that the consumer would get. And some of these practices or knowledges, it should be passed on or developed further. It's just a terrible stunt to these process, you know, to develop further that the current situation of the regulation itself hurting them. Yeah, it's just unfortunate.
Have you and your organisation been affected as well?
Mm. Well, I would say yes because everybody gets affected. Because we get imports that's basically dirt cheap price. The price so cheap that you might be well off to grow cabbage. You know what I mean? In terms of the labor that you put into it, the nutrients, the pest control regime that you put into it, and the labor you put into it. Growing cabbage might just be better, more profitable.
Well. Yeah.
I mean, unless you have your market already in the in Bangkok, and you have your own shop that you manage the business, the marketing well, and you get a regular customer, and that it might work fine for you, but not the layman's, the regular farmers, where they just want to try to grow good product and try to learn, evolve, and develop themselves into another cannabis farmer. Definitely far-fetched for them, because at the end they have to produce a product that's so good that a shop somewhere well-known in a popular town would take up their product and sell it.
Yeah.
And most of the time the price is so low that the farmers doesn't get very much out of it.
Yeah. And that's tragic, isn't it? I really like the what you said about solving that problem. Having a meeting a minimum standard and a minimum price across the market, because there are all different avenues, of the market, and there are different grades of and people are growing medical, and people, top shelf recreational and craft and everything in between. So there is a market for everybody, and let's hope that the regulations do start to tackle the malpractices.
Absolutely, just like corn, for example. There's the animal grade corn. There's the human consumption grade corn, and there's a price, the standard market price in between. Rice is a great example of a Thai market standard price. There is a practice of holding a market price for it. Why not cannabis?
Yeah, why not? Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, very cool. Before we move on to the next question, I just want to revisit the opening of the Highland Cafe, and it's another fond memory that sticks in my mind.
Were you there?
No, I wasn't there.
Oh, okay.
So, but I saw all the content online, and I heard about it from so many people, and the queues, Max. When you first opened those doors, they were literally round the block and around the block again, right?
Do you remember that snake game in Nokia 3310?
Yeah, the old Nokias, yeah.
It's like that. It's like...
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's what I saw. Like I said, I wasn't there, but I couldn't believe some of the videos and some of the pictures that that were circulating, and what I saw. It was unreal. Okay, so before we go to the next question, can we go back to the opening of Highland and all the content that we saw online?
Right. So before we go into the opening of the shop, the law came out. At least, the law came out, and the Prime Minister signed it off. But the detail in the law was that cannabis, the whole plant of cannabis, including flower, would be totally removed from the narcotic list. And we were like, wait, what? Is this for real? Kid you not, between three of us in our main team, we read through that, I don't know how many dozens times. We just went through it like, is this for real? Are we missing a certain keywords here and there? Are you sure? Are you sure? Are you sure? You know, we were just trying to go through it, and it's just like, okay, a month in. This is a point. This is the point when we were in the advisory group for a board for considering adjusting the law for cannabis, right? So we have all the access to the information in the group, and we were like, "Are you sure? Are we sure? Are they sure?" You know, we just keep asking our question. Now, when the Prime Minister signed the draft of the law, it takes 3 months for the law to get enacted. And we were like, 1 month passed, nothing changed. No one, inside information or gossip comes out. They said that there was a gossip that there will be a small regulation that will come complementing this removal of cannabis from the narcotic list at some point, but they're working on it. That's the word. They're working on it, and usually it takes about 3 months. 1 month in to the deadline, doesn't come out. 2 months in, doesn't come out. We were like, you know what, guys? They're not going to work this in time. This is a Thai government. They're not going to finish this in time. You know what? Let's prepare to sell weed at our cafe, because it's not in the narcotic list anymore. So it's not illegal, and it's not illegal to sell. You know, there's no regulation coming to say that you cannot sell weed at all anywhere. So we're like, okay, let's prepare. So it takes us about a month for us to contact everybody that we know that grows cannabis in Thailand, and we all tell them one thing: we don't sell cannabis, and we don't do any illegal exchange when it's illegal. But at midnight, when the laws change, bring your cannabis in.
Wow.
And that's when midnight, our shop already closed, right? Our shop closed at 11:30. So we kind of like cleaning up the store, closing down, whatnot. Midnight, sure enough, that grower started walking in with their cannabis. That grower started walking in with the cannabis. And we have a whole bunch of varieties of cannabis in our hand. And I kid you not, because the law just changed at midnight, we started packing at midnight, and we didn't stop packing until 4 a.m.
Wow.
And 8 a.m. is when we got to the store. Of course, we woke up before then, get ready. Got to the store at 8, prepare ourselves and this and that. I mean, by that time, we already have people lining, crowding in front of our store. Oh, the funny part, there was a kid that knew that we're gonna start selling cannabis the next day because it's legalized already. I mean, the law will be enacted. He came in at 10 p.m. and he slept there in front of our cafe to be the first legal purchaser at our cafe of legal weed in Thailand. He stayed there, slept there, and he was the first person to buy our weed when we opened the door for the sales at 9:09 in the morning.
And you were the first store, right?
Yes. And I was the bartender. Bartender.
Yeah.
So, there was a picture that I think the Standard, one of the prominent news reporter took it of me shaking hand with him because he's the first cannabis purchaser, legal weed purchaser. And that's when we start selling. And we start with about like 10, 20 people in front of our store in the morning. But as the day goes on, the line grew longer and longer and longer. Because we had very little sleep, we had to stop selling at around 10-ish. I was the only bartender because I knew my read and kind of like being able to explain to the customers.
So you're 12 hours, right, of constant stream.
Constant stream, and 3 hours of sleep. 3 hours of sleep the night prior. So yeah, I was exhausted to the point that I was having a brain fart.
Right.
It's like, what?
But I suppose that would be coupled with the fact that it's pretty unbelievable.
Yeah.
After all the work over the years and fighting and all the campaigning and just the great work that you and your guys
finally
have
we
done.
get to experience it. Yeah.
What did that feel like, Max, when you literally, selling that first bit of product to the first customer legally?
I felt like I was in the cloud.
Yeah.
Not because I was high.
Yeah.
but I felt like a certain type of weight was just gone. It wasn't lifted. It wasn't anything. It was just gone. It was just disappeared. And it's just great. I mean, we had about 20 news outlet coming in and just trying to take pictures of us handling cannabis and selling to the customers, to the point that we had to give out cues. And between the door and our bar that we start selling cannabis, people can stand about like 5-10 people only. So like there's another group of employees out in front trying to give out line numbers, queue numbers. So despite all of the workload and the fatigue that we experience, I felt like I was in the cloud.
Was it uplifting?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, I have no idea how many times we high-fived and hugged and just had a good laugh and asked each other, can you believe it?
Yeah.
It's just almost 10 years of work, and that's it.
It's happening.
It's happening right now.
Yeah.
We thought, how I told you earlier, the first event that we organized, we get so much good feedback and whatnot. And we kind of like hang out between the group and just like, you know what, we need to do this for another 10 to 15 years, or even 30. But then it ends up in like 5-6 years. It beats all of our expectation, and it's just. I don't want to be a cliche, but it's like a dream.
Yeah, sure. Well, it is, and I mean, you said before, you guys all agreed that you've got one foot in jail. And that to live like that, there's got to be anxiety and stress and all kinds of emotions that come with that, and then that foot is now out of jail.
Exactly.
And you're free, so it's kind of like being released. I can only imagine, how you guys felt, and it must have been euphoric. I bet you didn't need to smoke that day.
No, we didn't need to. The joy that we had was just way better than anything. I mean, the half lake being in jail, we persist so much that we even wait until midnight for all the growers that we know to bring the weed. We had to hold ourselves to the point of the last minute. And that's when we start holding weed out in the open. Mind you, Ryan, Bubba Fett.
Yes.
He's the one that smoked the first bong out in front of our cafe.
He told us on the last podcast.
Oh, he did?
Yeah, he did. He
There you
did.
go. We spoke after him.
Yeah, we discussed, the turning point and whatever you want to call it. I mean, I don't think turning point does it justice. The turning point was what we mentioned earlier, but I mean the finish line, I suppose. And we discussed that on his episode. He said, he remembers when he took that first bong and he just couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
So
open.
what an experience! I only wish I was there.
Yeah.
And what an amazing journey and what an amazing achievement at the end. So you fully deserve that day, all of you, and that'll be a day to never forget.
Yeah.
And
that's only the first day. The second day was worse.
Right. Tell me about the second day.
The second day was when we had a line so long that one of our customer came in late at night, that he was like, "Fuck! Finally, I've waited 4 hours for this."
Wow.
That's how long he waited in line just to buy weed, legal weed, I should say.
How long was it taking you guys at the time to serve your average customer? Were you kind of double time, just in and out?
Yeah, we had our system where I'll be the one describing the cannabis that we have in list.
Yeah.
Then we write it off, send it to the next person. The next person would pack it, which the customer would move and basically follow the order that an employee would be packing for them. And then after packaging, it will go to the cashier. The cashier will, cash them out, and that's basically the line. So 3 steps. At one point, we had 2 people packing, just because we need to measure, and we measure at site. So people would see the product being packaged and the honesty that we're trying to do, and that's basically the line. And at the peak, we had 2 bartenders, 3 packers, and 1 cashier, and 1 accessory connoisseur, I can say. Yeah, that's basically us, about 7, 8 lives, just trying to cater to the customer coming in, trying to buy their first legal weed. And the heartwarming part was that we had anybody from, regular smoker to parents of, regular kids that smokes weed. And they were like, I've never smoked weed before, but I heard that it helps with sleeping. And my son told me that it really helps, so he brought me here. That kind of thing.
Yeah.
So the son brought the parents to the shop to experience weed for the first time, especially legal weed, because they've been so locked up in the prison mind that
Conditioning.
It's
conditioning, yeah.
That cannabis is illegal and it's bad. Now it's legalized.
The devil's lettuce and all those names that,
Exactly. And now they open their mind to try cannabis for the first time because it's legalized now. And it's just so many adorable characters. I have no words for them. They're just, it's heartwarming.
I think to say the least, Max. I think heartwarming to say the least. It's history. You guys really made history, and those photographs of those queues and the videos and the content that was created around your opening, being the first shop and serving the first Thai people, cannabis. It's iconic. It really is iconic. It's huge. And that will go down in history, and you guys are part of that and made it happen. What an amazing achievement!
Thank you.
Amazing achievement, mate. Okay, mate. We'll move on to the next one.
Yeah, that was a big one.
Yeah, beautiful, mate. Absolutely beautiful. Well done. All right, mate. Well. The question is what it is. After that, what can we do after that?
Yeah.
All right, mate. So, question 5: Can you share some success stories from the entrepreneurs you work with in the Thai cannabis industry, and how does it feel to see their businesses thrive and contribute to the overall growth of the industry?
Most of the successful business, I would say, storing, the method of storytelling. A great story is always contribute to the success of a business. Mm-hmm. Some shop can be as small as, like 4 meters wide storefront and a tiny bit of a room inside, but they have their regular customers, and it's a talk of a town, just because they have a great story and they do great marketing, and persistence. When it comes to marketing and storytelling, it's just consistency of telling their stories and try to convey the vibe that they have, and they're trying to give to the customers, the consumers, to see what they're trying to service them with. Mm-hmm. And this is from the cafe point of view,
sure,
and the production point of view, and that seems to be the most important point of success in the business when it comes to the cafe and the production and whatnot, because nobody would understand why they should buy your stuff until you being able to tell your story.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, very cool. And you've certainly got many stories from your place. Mm-hmm. I want to ask you, going back to the medical side.
Yeah.
What's the most miraculous results you've seen on the medical side of cannabis?
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh man, this is going to be a great one. So there was this physician. He's one of those anti-cannabis, right?
Okay.
That didn't agree, ecocentric, whatnot, blah blah blah. Kind of like just push us out, could treat us like street dogs. Mm-hmm. For the longest time, at like 3-4 years after our initial encounter, he called me and he asked me, Kunaran, which is my first name. Kunaran, so my sister has cancer. How can I use cannabis to treat her? And I spilled everything of all, the knowledge from the research that I've been reviewing. And he was open-minded enough to start giving her sister a try. And her sister's health was improving to the point that he actually started he called me back and gave me so much thanks and whatnot. But unfortunately, her sister's health was too deteriorated to the point that she couldn't recover from that. But she had her last moment, wealth and healthy enough that she could have a normal life, and he was happy enough to experience all of that. And for me, it's just I don't know, it's I'm happy to see that I've changed the mind of such an egocentric mindset person in that
Sure.
profession, and they actually and he was actually thankful enough to experience all of that, and that was miraculous.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's a tough it's a tough gig, so to speak.
Yeah.
You know, to change the mind of somebody who's conditioned and just set in their way of thinking. But the results are so miraculous that even the most conditioned and most educated person can see it and can't deny it.
Exactly.
You know?
And that ends with a patient passing, but a more beautiful story was, he's my sweetheart. He's the last stage, liver and pancreatic cancer. The doctor told him that he has a month to live, so just go home and stay and have a good time with your family. He decided to contact our page, and we started giving him information on how to treat himself with cannabis. At that time, that was like way before legalization of medical cannabis in Thailand. So like all we had was brickweed that was common. So I asked him, do you know anybody who grows weed? He said, yes, actually my friend does. I smoke sometimes. I said, okay, go get cannabis leaves from your friend and start making tea right now. Today, tomorrow, whatever, as soon as possible. He started making tea with cannabis leaf. Within the third day, from being bed bound, he was able to start getting up and start walking around the house again. And that's when I went to the next step and said, start using flour, and this is how you extract it.
Mm-hmm.
And from tea to blah 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 to extract it to treat himself. From that day and until 8 months later, we ended up drinking beer until sunrise.
Okay. So he made a full recovery.
Full recovery.
Wow. Yeah.
So that's another great story that I will never forget.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, he passed, but that was from food poisoning.
Oh, wow. That's tragic, isn't it? It beats cancer and then...
Exactly.
Yeah.
Fucking
But
devils.
it's just... say again.
You fucking devils, right?
Yeah.
They'll come after you one way or the other.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, maybe when it's the time, it's the time. But, you know, we're so... You know, we're in the industry, right? And there are so many stories and people who are not in the industry, they don't tend to hear them.
No.
You know, I think... certainly in a lot of countries where it's still illegal, you know, it's hushed up a little bit, you know, for whatever reason, you know, whether it's pharmaceuticals or whatever, you know. But, you know, we really should share those stories far and wide.
Yeah.
You know, the real results, you know what I mean? And one thing I hope that will really develop from the Thai cannabis industry is treatment, you know, and on the medical side. And, you know, I've got a close family member right now who's you know really suffering with cancer and has been doing for a long time, and I've tried to nudge him towards some traditional treatment, but he's old school and he won't, and that's fair enough. You know, he's made his own decision, but I just wish that it was, you know, more available and more goes into that side of things, because it is amazing. You know what the plant can do. It's amazing.
Absolutely.
You know, sure, it's fun to get high and laugh and whatever, but what it can do, my God! And I'm really excited to see what comes out of Thailand in that area. You know,
Absolutely. Actually, Guy and I went through that same situation. Guy, he actually had to come back to Thailand from San Francisco because his mother was suffering from cancer towards the end of the stage, and he already experienced all of the cannabis treatment on cancer in San Francisco back in the day. So he was trying to push his mother to give it a try, but his mother said no because of the stigma of cannabis in Thailand back then, and you know his mother passed, and that's why he pushed so hard for cannabis legalization. And for me, my grandfather, he was a Christian priest,
Mm-hmm.
and he won't. Of 20 years of me knowing him before he passed, he drank only 2 glasses of beer.
Mm-hmm.
He's that kind of man.
Yeah.
Clean, clear, priest, everybody. One of those, like, borderline saint. He doesn't believe in cannabis because, you know, the stigma, the same story. And my uncle and I, we agree, and my uncle, he decided to slip cannabis leaf into his afternoon tea, and we pushed him to, or at least encourage him to stop eating sugar,
Mm-hmm.
because he had a bladder cancer, that refined sugar was the cause. And during that phase, he recovers from being bedbound, being able to get up out of the bed and start walking again, just on cannabis leaf again. But of course, when my uncle decided to, you know, like, being honest, and told my grandfather that it was a cannabis tea, my grandfather actually told my uncle that, please stop giving me this because of my belief.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when, you know, he had to respect his stance, and that's when his health deteriorated from there.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just this stigma that pushed us so hard, trying to take people out of the old mindset that, you know, propaganda pushed cannabis to be illegal for so long, to make it legalized and accepted, and people can use it to treat themselves.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, here's the beautiful part why we try to keep cannabis out of the narcotic list. Thai culture use cannabis in every part of the life, from medicine, food, to textile. At least the textile part is the hemp, but the medicine, we all know. Food, the food, the Thais use the leaves, sometimes root, to make soup, or even some salads or some cooking with the leaves. And when you have this regular intake of you know, important cannabinoids into them, they stay healthy.
Mm-hmm.
And as you may have seen, Thai people in general, they are quite healthy.
Yeah.
Just their food in general.
Certainly more healthy than people in the West.
Yeah.
Certainly more.
Yeah.
Max, I can tell you, I'm from Manchester in England.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, Clippers to Cannabis podcast is called that because I was a barber from Clippers into the cannabis industry. So my barber shop, you stand there, you know, 8 to 12 hours a day, cutting hair,
Yeah.
and the general public walking past all day, most of them are overweight. Most of them have got some kind of ailment or health problem, you know. And it's, my God, it's really sad to see.
Yeah.
You know, you can see it when you're in the community like that.
Yeah.
People waddle past, and it's the food's awful. Everything that's going in the body is awful.
Yeah.
And you don't see that in Thailand. You
My
know.
grandmother, she's 80, she still climbs mango tree.
Yeah. Yeah. It's incredible.
Yeah.
Isn't it? My father-in-law, he's mid 50s, I think, mid to late 50s, let's say, and he looks younger than I do. You know, he looks incredible. He really does.
Nice.
You know, and it's, you know, he's a very traditional person, you know, and eats certain things and lives, you know, quite traditionally, and you can see it. He's healthy.
Yeah.
The picture of health for a man his age.
Yeah.
You know. So yeah, it's interesting, and it needs to come back.
It needs to come back, and that's you know how I told you earlier that I would only speak about cannabis publicly only when it's needed.
Yeah.
at some point when people say that, oh, cannabis, is the whole plant can go into the narcotic list, blah blah blah, but whatever. One stand that I would stand my ground always is that, okay, some of you might not be able to accept it that the flower is legal, that's legalized and people use the flower, but don't put the whole plant, like leaf, stalk, stem, root, into the narcotic list. Because just by using the leaves for cooking, your health improves so much. Just getting like that minute, just a little bit of cannabinoid into your system, it helps so much. And like I see these examples so much in the countryside. I live up northeast, in the countryside, where like around rice paddies and small villages. These people, they, despite the fact, this is another funny side, despite the fact that cannabis is illegal, even the what do you call the head of the village?
Oh, the chief.
The chief of the village, which works directly under the government. He grows cannabis behind his house himself.
Yeah.
The police officer, the village police officer, or like the regional police officer, they grow weed behind his house themselves. Why? They use the leaves to cook their food.
Sure.
And they enjoy them. In chicken soup, in lab, or even use like those young leaves to eat as fresh vegetables.
Yeah.
They do that. And they're healthy. Like you said, 50 years old may look younger than us, in our late 30s. Or, like 80 years old, still climbing trees and whatnot. You cannot take their way of life out from them.
No, definitely not. And it's, we've all got an endocannabinoid system, right? And it's not in the food chain anymore. We used to get it in a myriad of different ways. The animals would eat wild cannabis, and we'd eat the meat, and the endocannabinoid system is activated.
Exactly.
So that really needs to come back across the world. Every human has an endocannabinoid system, and it's not being activated. Yeah.
But if we start talking about the Bible, we start going to get into the conspiracy so much.
Okay, well, hold that thought, because there's a question that might trigger that conversation.
Absolutely.
Okay. Okay, Max, mate. Education is crucial when it comes to the cannabis industry. What steps have you taken to educate and inform the public about the benefits and responsible usage of cannabis through your various endeavors?
Well, that's basically our key point in our Facebook page when we started it. We only use facts to talk about cannabis, whether it'll be legality, politics, society, or medicine, or science in general. We use only facts that's been researched, proved, news, whatnot. We don't talk on on the sense that how we feel. So everything has a backup information, fact to back our information, and that's how we spread our words, and that's how we grew, because that's the most important thing, is to spread the correct information for people to learn and grow.
Yeah.
Mentally.
Facts and not feelings is a good strategy in it.
Facts is great. Feelings is better if used correctly. If feelings, if it's used correctly, it's great. But the most important part is the fact.
Yeah.
Because, when somebody say like, why? Are you sure? How come? Facts. Those are information, those are data. Go look at it.
Yeah.
It's the proof. But if you use information, if you use Healing comes when when you use it correctly. It works like magic because it provokes people to pay attention and have a strong stance with it, whether it will be sadness, joy, and especially humor. Humor is the best emotional tool to use to persuade people. And I mean, for us, when we started off, we didn't use humor very much, but when we have a chance, we do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's very important. The feelings, are great when they're backed up by facts. You you hear these people who have got no facts and they're just blurting out, nonsense, and it's all feelings about cannabis. It's bad and it's this and that. Well, yeah, I know you feel that way.
Yeah.
But, what's it supported by?
Exactly. I have a story for you. So this guy, a prominent physician, he's like a vice. What's it? A vice director. What do you call them? Like second level from the director.
Okay.
On the ministry is called basically the what's it called? I kind of know the name in Thai, but to translate in English is a little bit difficult. It's basically the judge of medical community.
Okay.
In Thailand or in Thai government. So he's the second in power, right? He's like, cannabis is bad, blah blah blah. I don't agree with all of this, and he present his point with all these researches. But I know at least 70% of those researches, because I went through all of them, that if you finish the whole research, like read through the whole research, it actually says that cannabis is good for for whatever topics that he tried to like pick out of those papers. And after he finished his presentation, he just left. This is in the meeting, the board meeting on adjusting the cannabis law draft, right? And right after he left, the doctor right beside me, I kind of like gossiped with him before, but he told me like, I know that papers as well, like, you're the man. And he got up and he presented the same papers, but he finished the whole paper.
Yeah.
And he basically debunked that that previous doctor.
Yeah.
That was in the higher up of the medical community court, basically. And we found out later that guy, he is one of the board member of one of the Thai major beer producer in Thailand.
Ah, okay.
You know what that means?
Sure.
What?
Sure, but I mean the alcohol sales seriously reduce. Absolutely reduce in every legal market in the world. They can't sell as much alcohol, so he's got an agenda, and that's the sad thing in it about politics and people making these decisions. When they've got an agenda, they just pick out what they want. Like you said, there's this paper in the end. When you read it in its full content, it's positive, but you can pick bits out of anything, and make it what you want.
And at the end, it depends on who holds the pen, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is.
It really is.
Yeah, and that's the reason why we need more guys like you and your organisation, to keep driving the truth, with no agenda. I mean, some might say you have an agenda, but your agenda is genuine. It's not about profit and sales. It's about the love of the plant and the medical uses, and being free for a plant for a plant that we all love.
Exactly, a
You know.
plant, a way of life.
Yeah, and look at just look at the response on the first day you opened. People queuing round the block 10 times. You know, it's crazy. That is that. Yeah, that's what the public think. You know, if you want some data and some evidence, look at what the people do when it's legalized.
Exactly.
You know? Yeah, but I mean that's what we're up against, isn't it? You know, it's crazy.
Man, I mean, we thought that the road we've already finished our task, but we still have a way to go since, you know, like I've told you earlier, the politics still kind of cooking in terms of should they put cannabis back into the narcotic list or not. But yeah, we're working with them. I mean, we don't present them. We don't present ourselves with them closely that we're working with them.
Yeah.
But we definitely talk to them regularly and to make sure that why we should.
Mm-hmm. I think they need somebody like you, or you know, any of your guys, actually in government. You know, somebody who knows what they're talking about and who can advise correctly. You know, I think that'd be useful. But do you see that ever happening? You know, do you see the men in suits, you know, appointing somebody who really is qualified to make decisions?
It's very difficult. Those who are, you know, knows about cannabis and know what's best for cannabis, they're not qualified to be a politician or people who work
Sure.
for the office. And if they do, they're in a way too extreme for the office. So, you know, they would never fit in. So it's more of a what's best for them, you know, for the people in the office. So at the end, we will be the ones who just advise them what's best for them.
Yeah.
And, you know, I mean, for me, I think it's best of both worlds because we get to advise what we want for the community and they get to produce a certain project that, you know, becomes fruitful and become credential for them.
Yeah.
So, win-win.
Yeah. Yeah. That's definitely what needs to happen, isn't it? You know, some careful planning and where it is a win-win situation.
Exactly.
But it's so complicated, Max, isn't it? And you know, hear what you're saying. You know, to put somebody in government. You know, I couldn't be in government. You know, but I certainly think more advisory roles are needed. You know, and I'm happy to hear you're doing that regularly.
Yeah.
Question 7, Max. Running a successful business in the cannabis industry requires unique skills and knowledge. What advice do you have for aspiring cannabis entrepreneurs in Thailand who are looking to make a positive impact in this field?
Skills? I don't know, but more of a mindset. They need to have a positive mindset to the point that they would be able to acquire enough knowledge and enough vibe to distribute all of that to the public or to the community. Because at the end, the cannabis community is just a community who wants to just have a great time.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, apart from, you know, being proficient with marketing and product design and storytelling and whatnot, at the end you need to be able to convey your vibe and to have the right mindset is basically the key to have success in it.
Yeah, and I would certainly agree with that. There are mindsets that exist now that don't align with the community, Would you say that's fair? I mean, the whole cash crop, cutthroat mindset is completely wrong for me. For this industry and this community especially. So I think that's absolutely spot on. The mindset that aligns with the community and what the community is really about.
Yeah.
I think there are too many that come and say, we're going to make so much money and all this, and it's really not about that, is it?
No, not really. I mean, that's what they imagine. But I saw this small shop, cannabis dispensary shop, and they don't really trying to put themselves as the best cannabis shop in town, but it's more of a lifestyle. They sell some food, they sell some drinks, some sweets and whatnot, and cannabis aside. But the vibe of the shop in general, it's so welcoming. Like, I have my own shop, but I want to go there.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that kind of place is what would make their business successful. I mean, I'm only talking about a store front dispensary set kind of mentality. If it gets into industry, then most of industry, it's pretty much the same, in a sense that being efficient, know what you're doing, and just have good connections, and just do good thing. Just be rightful what you're doing, and people will just start following you, respect you, and do business with you, continue doing business with you. Because cannabis is just a plant. Plants has all the resources all around Thailand. And Thailand is one of the leading country of Thailand. In Thailand, we have this motto that we're the kitchen of the world. So we can produce all of the produce and vegetables, fruit, meat, and whatnot for people to consume. And plants is just another product of this industry. If you have enough resources to produce the most efficient, the most connection to contact and distribute yourself, that's great. But at the end, the people who connected to the people, the consumer, are the shops or the distributors. So the distributor themselves need to be able to convey the vibe, to be able to convey the sales for people to consume. That's my take on it.
Yeah, I always like to, put some thought into the difference between other industries, such as alcohol, and especially where cannabis is not legal. And one thing I've experienced with the cannabis community in Thailand, and especially at your events, is it's just so peaceful. Where I'm from in England, cannabis is illegal, and alcohol's the big thing, and there's nothing much trouble. In a lot of establishments, people get drunk and they fight and they argue, and it's a mess. And the cannabis industry doesn't support that and doesn't see that.
No, it doesn't happen. I have another great story for you. So our store, we opened for like nearly 5 years at that time. Oh no, at that time when that happened, about like almost 4 years. And what happened? And then a new cafe, a new bar just opened beside us, right? Of all the 3 years of operation before the legalization, we never have any fight. No fight. No, violence. But the bar that opened right beside us, within 3 weeks they had their first fight, and they only sell alcohol.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? This is our community.
It's clear to see.
Yeah.
It's clear to see if people open their eyes, and I suppose it's difficult, if you are from a country where it's illegal and all is you can go and unwind and have alcohol. You know, it's difficult to understand for people that don't know cannabis and haven't experienced that. You know, even places like California or Amsterdam, or you know, and certainly here, you know, you don't experience that, and I wish more people could see it and experience it. I think that really help change the mindset and the conditioning, you know, of people around this, the devil's lettuce kind of attitude, you know. So I think, mate, with what's happening around the world, you know, it will happen. Maybe not in our lifetime, but it's got to happen, surely.
I personally believe it would happen within our lifetime.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Cool. Well, I hope with all my heart that you're right.
I hope we don't start having too much grey before that happens.
Yeah, well, I've got a few already. There's a few sprouting out. Okay, mate. Question 8. What role do you see Thailand playing in the global cannabis market, and how do you think the industry here will evolve over the next few years?
Apart from the saying that in Thailand we say that Thailand is the kitchen of the world.
Sure.
Some say that Thailand is the new Amsterdam.
Yeah.
In itself, you know, it shows how people are accepted and just excited over cannabis in Thailand in general. And we do have a bit of spike in tourists who landed in Thailand and just want to come try cannabis. Kid you not, our cafe, we are uncountable of tourists that came in with their luggage, literally straight from the airport. And they told us themselves that, like, we just came from the airport, we just landed, and we want some weed. You know, I'm like, we're here to help you.
Yeah.
And that's when, you know, we start buttoning and whatnot. And how we can affect the world? I mean, if anything, it's the experience of using cannabis in general. I mean, people, I don't want to get into the industry point of view, because people get professional and nitpicky into that part. But I think the most important part is that people would experience cannabis like the way they should. You know, just having a great time, relaxing, and experience what cannabis is.
Yeah.
And that's the effect that Thailand would give to the world in terms of cannabis experience.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, there's nothing more amazing than being in some of Thailand's most beautiful spots and being able to smoke cannabis, you know.
Right on the beach, white sand, wave clashing, or even in forest, fog flooding towards you to smoke weed right on the tip top of the mountain.
Yeah.
And legal.
Yeah. It really is amazing. I mean, Thailand has so much to offer as a country, and especially for tourists who come here without cannabis, but with cannabis. My God, it's the stuff that dreams are made of, right?
Yeah. And after you smoke weed, you have munchies. Thailand is one of those well-known countries to have like food and snacks
everywhere.
Every corner. Bangkok, like tourist country.
Yeah.
I mean tourist town. You have food 24/7.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a perfect place.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is where you come and enjoy cannabis. You have beach, you have food and munchies 24/7, and you can smoke weed legally.
Yeah.
This is the best place to enjoy, or at least experience cannabis.
Yeah, and I think that's, you know, part of the answer to the question. You know, I believe Thailand is the best place to go for. I don't like the term, but you know, cannabis tourism. You know, because everything's here. You know, beautiful beaches, beautiful people, food everywhere. You know, it really is amazing. And Amsterdam's amazing, but it's not Thailand.
No, it's not Thailand, man. You still have to go out and like wear sweaters. Oh man, I don't know about you, but I can never get used to cold weather.
Well, I mean, it's very cold where I come from, and I never forget when I had to go back to England after I decided to move here. I had to make some business arrangements and what have you, and I can't stand the cold now.
No.
I was always okay with it.
Yeah.
You know, I'm an ex-soldier. You know, I was in the British Army for 5 years, and we were out in, you know, sub-minus temperatures, and I always dealt with it well. But now, no way. No, no way. I don't like it at all.
You know, despite the fact that I went to Canada for education, but I was born and raised there.
Yeah.
It took me 2 straight years to get adapted into Canadian weather.
Yeah.
Man, where I stayed is Victoria, BC, which is like far west coast, right on the island above Seattle. So it's pretty much the same weather as England. You know, the cloudy, rainy, wet,
windy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Pretty much that. Kid you not, there was one time that I was walking. I was leaving my grandparents' place. And that night, the moisture in the air was 99% without rain. So the fog in the air like formed like water droplets.
Yeah.
It hung in the air, and when the breeze comes, these kind of like move around like rain. But it's just moisture in the air. That's how wet it was.
Yeah.
And you know, like. No, smoke doesn't matter how good BC weed is.
Yeah.
You cannot enjoy it to the max, man.
Yeah, I mean, I shudder when I think about there's a British Army training area in Alberta, Bathurst, and we did a couple of tours there, and one was in the winter, mate, minus 26. What do you do with that? You can't get warm.
Nope.
You just can't. You know. Oh, mate. So yeah, you know. Thank God we're in Thailand.
I was actually in the reserve army and in Canada, and I had to go to train there before. My God, I'm glad that I left the army before the Afghanistan tour.
Yeah.
But yeah. I went there to train. Holy hell! I agree with you. It was cold as hell.
Cold and tough terrain. Everything's steep and difficult to walk over, and yeah.
No wonder why they're so tough, eh?
Yeah, yeah. It's a place where you make soldiers, not live.
Exactly. Oh, man.
All right, Max. Can you share any upcoming projects or initiatives that you are involved in that our viewers should be excited about?
Well, the only exciting project for me right now is the farm, Highland Farm. We do believe that the sun-grown cannabis is the best cannabis. Well, not the best. I mean, we do respect in majority of indoor grow that, you know, they grow properly and know what they're doing, and they can grow beautiful, great smell and just great effect cannabis. But outdoor cannabis has its charm, that, you know, this native plant get to absorb the natural sunlight, absorb the nutrient from the soil that we treat, and get to blossom into the strain that we selected, and hoping that people would enjoy this strain that being grown on a property that was historically grown during the Vietnam War, and the GI soldier, the American GI soldier bought and shipped it back to the United States back in the 70s. that's where we're growing. To have those cannabis that we're growing right now and just improve from it, it's just wonderful.
Yeah.
It's just a great feeling. And this project, I mean, we're not at best that we're hoping at yet, but we're aiming to be the best at what we do, and that is to grow cannabis within Thailand outdoor at naturally treated ecologically to make cannabis grow to its fullest potential.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And you've got a bong-shaped lake, right?
yeah. Funny story. So actually, this is a wonderful story. So the bong shape, the bowl of the bong of the lake, is actually was a pond that the ancestor of the owner of the property dug by hand while they smoke weed.
Okay.
Yeah. So the founder of the village, they dug up the pond so that they can use the water for the they can have water for the villagers,
mm-hmm.
and they would have weed grown, and those who help dug up the pond, the founder of the village would distribute weed to those who help
mm-hmm.
if they want. And they would take a break, smoke a bong hit, and go back into digging weed, because weed would help them ease the pain from
Sure.
the fatigue and whatnot.
And the inflammation and
Exactly. So that pond is actually was dug by those who smoke weed.
Yeah.
So for those who say weed smoker are lazy, nuh-uh. That pond is so deep that we couldn't remember the last person who can touch the bottom.
Right.
That's how deep it is. And we tried to dig a proper squared pond to collect water for our farm, but the calculation and the practice didn't work the same. And we had about like 2.5 meters away from the pond and where we started digging. Guy, the founder of Highland, he was like, you know what? Let's just dig line and make a bong. Looks like a bong out of it. We were like, let's do it.
Yeah.
And that's where we have like, what was it? A square pond and with a line and a round pond as a bowl for the bong.
Yeah,
So
I've never seen it. I'd love to visit. I'd love to visit one day, but I've seen it from aerial shots, and it.
Come visit this winter when we have all the wheat blossom.
Yeah, I'd love to. Definitely. Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to come and see.
Podcast on tour.
Yeah. Let's see. Maybe Henry will go on tour. Yeah, let's see.
Yeah.
But it's a very cool thing about your farm, and this episode I've really enjoyed. Because it's just you're just authentic, mate. And, everything you do that guys do.
Yeah.
Is and it's very cool, mate. Lastly, mate, last question. What message would you like to leave with our viewers, especially those who are interested and passionate about the cannabis industry in Thailand?
Do what's best for the community in Thailand, because at the end, Thai cannabis blossom because of the native growers who grows cannabis for personal use, for their way of life, and their knowledge that they have been passing down to. Those are the people that makes cannabis become so well known around the world nowadays. So if anyone who wants to do anything about cannabis in Thailand, endorse those natives that they have been doing this for the longest time. Despite the fact that their cannabis is not the best as, well grown indoor, but their outdoor cannabis is what the nature and their knowledge have provided and have been using for centuries, and what have made cannabis world renowned from the 70s to this day. Endorse them, help them, and help them improve, help them grow. Just like you guys grow from them.
Wow, what a beautiful place to leave it. I don't know what to say, Max. Amazing. You really are a special guy, and I personally would like to thank you and your organisation for everything you've done, because I wouldn't be here without you and your organisation and everybody who's worked so hard for legalisation. The only reason we are able to operate is because of you guys, and I think I'd like to thank you on behalf of the whole of the industry, whether they know it or not. You guys have made it all happen, and everybody really should, take their hat off, applaud you guys, and know that all these people are here because of the work that you guys did over years and years and years. You were the guys who fought for it and made it happen. So from the bottom of my heart, mate, thanks so much, and thanks for being such a great guy as well.